Good morning and welcome to the second session of the online open day of the Han University of Applied Sciences. My name is Tommaso, former international business student at the Han, and I will be your host for this morning. In this session, we will be talking about admissions, visas, and housing. I'm joined in the session with Mihaela and Diego. Thank you guys very much for being here. Let's get to know you a little before we dive into the topic. Mihaela, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us what you do at the Han?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm Mihaela. I'm a marketing communication advisor working from Han, and I'm originally from Romania.
Thank you and welcome. Diego, how about yourself?
I'm Diego. I'm from Panama, and I'm an electrical and electronics engineering student at the Han.
Okay, and we also asked this to our previous guest during our previous session. What made you choose the Han to come here?
What made me choose the Han?
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors, but honestly, just how progressive it seemed. It seemed like it's really like on the edge, of advancements, and just very modern as well compared to other universities, in my opinion.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. As always, in every session, we will be hosting a live Q&A at the end of both sessions that we're presenting right now. So make sure that you ask away anything that you might have in terms of doubts, concerns, questions that are related to the topics that we're handling right now. And in the last 15 minutes, we will be getting back to you. Now, before we dive into the topic of admissions, we have prepared a video for you to illustrate what the admissions procedure looks like. So let's take a look.
Would you like to study at Han? In 89 seconds, we explain the steps you need to take to apply for a program at Han. Want to join us for a moment? You apply on StudyLink and follow the various steps. Too early is better than too late, but do it at least before the application deadlines. You automatically receive an email with the confirmation of your application and the login details for the My Application portal. You receive an email informing you about your matching activities and the documents you need to send. Take a look at your to-do list in the My Application portal. Don't have all the info yet? No problem. Upload the info you do have. For example, your grades list instead of your degree certificate. You'll receive an email asking you to complete your matching activities via the My Application portal. Matching activities include an online interview and a questionnaire. They allow you to check whether the program matches your wishes and interests. When all necessary documents are uploaded, Han assesses your admission. If everything is in order, you receive an email with the result of your application. Did you get a positive result? Then continue with the following steps. If you are then accepted, all that is left is to pay your tuition fees. Congratulations, you're now a Han student. There are still lots of things to do before you actually start studying, such as housing and planning your trip. Also, don't forget to upload your secondary school certificate and create a Han account. So, right on time. Stop the clock. Did you know that you can track the progress of your application in the My Application portal? Good luck and see you soon at Han. Questions? Go to hanuniversity.com/admission.
All right, so we just learned about the generals about applying at the Han. Mihaela, would you be able to tell us a little more of how the application procedure looks like?
Well, I think it's very easy. Everything is online, everything is digital. I think it all starts in checking the admission requirements for the program that you want to study, and then gather your documents and just upload them. Obviously, we look at your grade list, we look at your diploma. We know that the diplomas are coming later. Final exams are usually in the summer for most education systems. And then you just upload them. So
there you go.
It's very easy. No need to worry about it. Just go for it.
As simple as it sounds. Yeah, but I'm curious also of learning your experience, Diego, with applying at the Han. Do you remember what it was like?
Yeah, as Mihaela mentioned, everything is very easy, very clear. All I had to focus on was getting the right documents, sending them in, and getting them approved, and then, of course, just doing the matching procedure, and so on and so forth. Very easy, very smooth.
Yeah, sounds pretty straightforward to me. And you also mentioned matching, and we will be talking more about matching in just a minute. But was there any part of your application procedure that you recall as being a little challenging or a little more difficult than others?
I wouldn't say any particular thing was challenging. I would say like the main thing was just it took a little more time, you know, because of the time difference. There's a 7-hour time difference between Panama and the Netherlands. So, you know, you send one thing and the next day you're here. But like besides that, that's like everything was so easy, so smooth, no complications at all.
Fantastic. And that doesn't only account from your experience, but also when I applied as a student here at the Han, for me, it was actually a pretty similar journey. Everything was really straightforward. So I was quite content with how the application went. Let's talk a little bit about deadlines, Mihaela, shall we? So when would you recommend students to apply if they're interested in starting in, let's say, September 2023?
September 2023 is right around the corner now. So just as a general impression, the application opens always the 1st of October the previous year, right? So in 1st of October last year, the application opened for September 2023, and it's the same case for September 2024. This year at 1st of October, the application will open. You see the deadlines on the screen, but and we never recommend for people to wait as long to get close to the deadlines. And we'll talk about later today in the segment about housing, because you need time to find housing, you need time to make the right arrangements. If you wait until the deadlines, then you'll not have the time required to do that. So, but also from a point of view of just having the peace and quiet for yourself, right? Do your application, send in the documents that you have, and then you can concentrate on your end exams, right? Whether you're doing your high school exams or whether you're doing your bachelor thesis to start in a master program, you just have that peace and quiet, knowing that you already started on the way to apply, knowing that you know what you have to do, what is coming up for you. And then you can, take everything, every step, and in a nice, calm, and timely manner.
Definitely.
Do you recall when you applied for your own program, how much earlier compared to the beginning of it?
Compared to electrical and electronics engineer, it started 1st of September 2021. I applied around May.
Okay, yeah.
Around that area. So it's still with a bit of time, you know, to get everything done.
Indeed.
And send the documents in.
Yeah, and it's definitely a good tip to try to do that earlier because, like you said, the last year of high school can be super busy with a lot of different things, and probably most of the viewers at home might be going through that right now. So it's good to know that you definitely are still in time right now, but also to be quite prompt in relation to that. So when is a student eligible to apply, Mihaela?
When the applicant meets the admissions requirements, and they have been accepted to the program that they applied for, and they have paid their tuition fees. Then an applicant will become a student. To meet the admission requirements, you will see on the website, right, for electrical and electronic engineering, I think, and for most engineering programs, you need to have mathematics and physics studied in your high school at a certain level. But if you look at life sciences or chemistry, then you have chemistry, biology, and mathematics. So please check the admission requirements for the programs you're interested in. And then you go into the application. You have to... what we do look at is the level at which you studied them. This gives you the right foundation to continue and be successful here in our studies. Do the matching. Yeah, matching is important. That's a part of the application procedure. You have to have a positive advice for matching. And then, being accepted is based on all these documents and the matching. So, yeah.
And before we talk about the matching, what happens, like you said that there are a certain number of requirements, of course, as there are for any application at any institution. What happens if, for example, you're looking for a course and that course does not belong to the high school diploma of the student?
It is a tough one. There are a lot of exceptions and there are a lot of assessments that can be done. Sometimes students can be deficient in certain subjects. There are external tests that students can take. For example, like Boswell, that's an external test that they could take to work through their deficiency in a certain subject. But it depends on the individual diploma, and that's why we say just apply. If you're unsure, just apply. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a little bit of time, and then we get to look into your diploma and give you an advice on, hey, you would need this or you would need that. I do want to add on the previous point, we were talking about the admission requirements. The English proficiency test for most nationalities is also required, so please don't forget that, because that's also where we look at the certain scores and minimum scores.
Excellent. And I just noticed that someone from home actually asked a question really on this concern. So for example, if someone has already done their whole education in English, do they still require to do an IELTS or a TOEFL test?
No, in this case, they would be exempted if they did their secondary education in the English language.
All right,
that's
excellent.
correct. And there are also a couple of nationalities that are exempted from taking the from the English language requirement. But yeah, for most nationalities, it is valid that they do need to do it.
Indeed. Excellent. So you both mentioned matching, and I'm really curious to learn from both of you what that is and how you experienced that yourself, Diego. So first, Mihaela, would you be able to explain to us really briefly what matching is?
Well, I think I will explain a little bit what's behind it.
Okay, yes.
I think that it's very important for students to be successful. And for us, that is very important to help students and facilitate them to be successful in obtaining their diploma, in making the knowledge and the information we provide them with their own. So we want to have a chat and an assessment about, are we a match? Do we fit with each other, right? Can we, meet the expectations of the student? And does the student have what it takes to be able to fit well in our education system, in the way we provide classes? So it's not only from the university's point of view, but also from the applicant's point of view, to check, again, is this what I want? And is this the best fit for me? So it goes both ways.
How was your experience with matching, Diego?
Well, my experience with matching was quite different from what it is now. I was assigned like a time for meeting, and then I got in a chat with a professor, with a teacher from the university, and we talked a bit. It was mainly to see about English proficiency and how well you match with the course. But now it has changed, actually, in the sense that you talk with another student from the course, and you set your own time, and you just see, you can ask questions about the student life, about the course, and see if you're a match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed, and thank you for also explaining this a little further. I think the idea behind, like Mihaela, you were mentioning, is still the one of really seeing, like, do you match with the university, with the program, with the courses that you will be taking. It's about like checking that, but at the same time, indeed, you may have to talk to a professor or to a student. Yeah. So what kind of questions were you being asked? Do you remember, like, by the time that you did matching yourself?
By the time I did matching, I was mainly being asked, like, where did this interest come from? What does your secondary preparation look like? Why the Netherlands? Why Han? Those type of questions, you know. Yeah. Good.
Yes, thank you for informing us on that. Now, going back to the video that we watched at the beginning of the session, we learned about a variety of different concepts, including the financial guarantee. Mihaela, would you be able to explain to us what a financial guarantee is and what is included in a financial guarantee?
Yes, of course. The financial guarantee is actually a package meant for students that come from outside of the European Union, where through this financial guarantee package, they meet the legal requirements to be able to come to study to the Netherlands. And in the financial guarantee, you usually have the tuition fees for the first year, but also costs of living, also insurance, visa application fee, and we bundle it all together. And housing, for example, for non-European students, we bundle it all together, and this also serves as a legal requirement to start the visa procedure. So we're trying to make it easy.
And I think this is also a perfect topic to end our segment on admissions and move on to visas, because financial guarantee is directly related to that as well. And when it comes to visa, we have a video prepared for you as well to learn a little more of what the visa procedure looks like for non-European students. Let's take a look.
Are you coming to study at Hahn? And are you from outside the EU? As the Dutch say, a good start is half the work. In 84 seconds, we'll tell you how to get off to a good start in the Netherlands. First, you receive an email from the admissions office. It tells you which documents you need to send us for your residence permit and entry visa. It also includes the invoice for the financial guarantee. The financial guarantee has different parts. This is what you pay for the first year of study. You pay the financial guarantee before the 15th of June if you start in September, or before the 15th of November if you start in February. And you gather the necessary documents. Email them to the admissions office. Hahn Immigration takes over your application from here on. And if anything's missing, they'll let you know. Then everything is sent to the Immigration and Naturalization Service, IND. They assess the application. Sometimes that takes 2 months, so make sure you send the documents on time. You get a mail from Hahn Immigration telling you whether your application has been approved. You also receive an approval letter with your V number. Now you can make an appointment with the Dutch embassy or consulate in your home country to pick up your entry visa. You don't pick up your residence permit until you're in the Netherlands. Welcome to Hahn. Then it's time to book your trip. We look forward to seeing you soon in the Netherlands. Just one more thing. Before you depart, we send you some extra info about how you register at a Dutch municipality, how to open a Dutch bank account, and how to arrange a tuberculosis test depending on your country of origin. Also go to hanuniversity.com/visa for all the important info.
All right, Diego, and let's start with you. How did you experience the visa procedure yourself?
It was very smooth, actually. Just like the application procedure, the visa procedure was very smooth. All I had to do was send the documents they asked for me to send. They applied for the visa for me. And all I had to do was just go to the embassy. As the video mentioned, I just had to go to the embassy, request the visa, and within a few weeks, I already had my visa on my passport.
There you go. So you mentioned that the university applied for your visa. And Mihaela, is it also possible for students to apply for their own visa?
No, it is not possible. Dutch immigration law says that only the university can apply for a student visa and student resident permit on behalf of the student. So, we have to follow the law, obviously. It also makes the life much easier for the student because all they need to do is hand in the papers and get a notification to get their visa sticker and then can travel to the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's it, right? So does the visa cover all 4 years of the studies, or do you have to reapply every single year?
Yeah, so the visa covers all the duration of your study. So in the case of a bachelor is 4 years. In case of a master is depending how long your master takes, 1 year, 1.5 to 2 years. The good part is that we also have an orientation year. So after students graduate, they can extend the visa for the Netherlands, or the residence permit in this case for the Netherlands, with 1 extra year. And that offers them the opportunity to look for a job, maybe here or in the European Union, and then roll into, maybe staying a couple of years here as an employee of a certain company. Yeah.
And as Diego, as you're nearing to the end of your studies here, are you planning on making use of the orientation year and sticking around, or do you think that you will be going back to Panama?
I believe I'll be sticking around a little more. I'm interested in seeing more of Europe and just the Netherlands, and living over here and working and enjoying.
Well, that is great, because I do know, especially for your program of electrical and electronic engineering, there there's a shortage of engineers in the Netherlands at least. So I think you will have the chance to stay here if you want to do so. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
There you go. That sounds perfect. And we have a lot more information regarding visas available online. So make sure that you check our website for anything that we may not have covered during this very short segment, or also feel free to ask away in the chat box, and that we'll be getting back to you at the end of this session. But I think that wraps up regarding visa, and let's move directly into our next session, which is housing. We have prepared videos for you regarding housing as well. The procedure may look slightly different between non-European and European students, so let's first take a look at what the application looks like for non-European students.
Did you know Arnhem and Nijmegen are two of the best cities to live in for international students? Are you a student from outside the EU? Stick with us for just a couple of seconds to see how to get a room. The first step, already paid the financial guarantee including housing? Our housing department will start arranging a room for you. Then Han Housing will send you an e-voucher within 2 weeks of payment. Are you starting in September? Then they'll start arranging a room in May. Starting in February? Then you can expect to be notified in or after December. You can use that voucher within 1 week to choose a room on the Book Your Room website in your preferred location. The quicker you are, the more choice of rooms there is for you. Choose the room that suits you best. You can also choose additional packages like kitchen utensils and bed linen. SSHN provides the rooms in Arnhem and Nijmegen for Han students. You will now receive the housing contract from them. Sign it and send it back. Congratulations! You will receive an email from Han Housing before the start of your contract with information about the check-in time right before the start of your study and more. Finally, come to check-in week and pick up your keys. Time's up! What now? Make it a nice home. Welcome to Han. One last thing, the contract is always for 1 year or 1 semester for February starters. You can find the locations of Han Housing rooms at hanuniversity.com/housing.
All right, and now let's take a look at what the application procedure for housing looks like for European students.
Did you know Arnhem and Nijmegen are two of the best cities to live in for international students? Are you an EU student? Stick with us for just a couple of seconds to see how to get a room. The number of rooms we're allowed to offer as a university is limited. We work with waiting lists on a first-come, first-served basis. After enrolling, send a request to han.housingoffice@han.nl as soon as possible so you get added to this waiting list. In the meantime, we recommend you also look for a room nearby on your own. Han Housing will send you an email with tips and tricks for finding a room. In your own search, don't forget to check if your room is furnished or if you still need to buy furniture, for example, secondhand. In June and January, we will know how many rooms are available for the Han waiting list. Based on your place on the waiting list, you may or may not be sent an e-voucher. Use this e-voucher to choose your room. Once you've chosen, leave your payment information as soon as possible. SSHN provides the rooms in Arnhem and Nijmegen for Han students. You will now receive the signed housing contract from both of them. Congratulations! You will receive an email from Han Housing before the start of your contract with information about the check-in time right before the start of your study and more. Finally, come to the check-in time and pick up your keys. Didn't get a room through Han? Continue your own search. Found a room for yourself? Keep in mind that you'll need to pay a deposit. This can add up to a few months of rent. And time's up. One last thing. If you rent a room from SSHN through Han, the contract is always for 1 year or 1 semester for February starters. After that, you need to look for a room yourself. You can find the location of Han Housing rooms at hanuniversity.com/housing.
All right, now in the next few minutes, we will be, let's say, decoupling a little all of the different concepts that we heard from those two videos. We will be learning about what SSHN is, how Diego has experienced the whole housing procedure process, and more. So make sure that you stay tuned for the end of the session. But let's start with your housing journey, Diego. How was it looking for a house for you?
At the beginning, not hard at all, because through the financial guarantee, I got a room at Helix, one of the SSHN houses in that Han supports. And I stayed there for a year, and afterwards I went on and found my own place here in Arnhem.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you stayed at the Helix, which is a really new and modern building, very close to the campus here in Arnhem. I really like that building. What was present in that building? Was it already furnished?
Yeah, it was actually furnished already. It had, as you can see in the pictures, it had the bed, the closet, a table, some chairs. The room I rented had its own kitchenette. So yeah, it's already furnished. It's all about you just going there. It even has the poster. It's all about you just going there, putting your things and setting it up the way you want to set it up.
Excellent. And were you sharing common areas with other people?
Yes, for the room I rented, I was sharing the toilet and the washroom, like the bathroom, yeah.
Yeah, and Mihaela, what other options are there out there? Can you also just apply for a room that is completely on your own, like a studio, or...?
Yes, that is correct. There are different types of rooms, and depending on the type of room, you have more square meters or less square meters, shared facilities or not shared facilities. So it depends, but also keep in mind that the rental price is also accordingly, according to the facilities you have.
Of course. And we learned from those videos that the main difference, let's say, in terms of application procedure for European and non-European students is indeed the fact that in one case it may be guaranteed, in another case you might have to apply for waiting lists. So for European students, Mihaela, what would you say that are the chances of getting a room through the HAN?
It's difficult to say what the chances are. I think the best advice we can give is because we do have a limited number of places, right? So, there are so many students that can benefit from housing from the university through our partners. The best advice we can give is for European Union students, start immediately looking for private accommodations in the city, in the campus city. Whether it's Arnhem, where it's Nijmegen, as soon as you apply, start looking around, familiarize yourself with the market, with what you can find. We have lots of resources, lots of links on our website that students can make use of, where to look, like Marketplace, Facebook groups. So we're trying to provide as much information as possible, but it is cost time, cost energy, and effort. So for European Union students, make sure while you put yourself on the list, on the waiting list, also look private accommodation. But anyway, for all students, European or non-European, from the second year, they have to look for their own accommodation anyway. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Yeah. And this is also what I wanted to touch upon with you, Diego, because you mentioned, okay, first year, everything really simple because you had it arranged by the HAN in terms of accommodations. And what happened after your first year at the Helix, at the HAN's accommodation?
So after the first year, my contract expired 7th of July of 2022. And after that, I had to search for my own place, since my contract had finished. And it really did take a while. I was lucky enough to find one in time for the school year. But yeah, I looked through Facebook, through different landlords, like private landlords, real estate agencies and such. But yeah, it's always important to have it in time for the start of your school year, because if you don't have accommodation, then it can really hamper your studies.
Right. So you mentioned that your contract expired in July, and how early did you start then looking for something else?
At the time, I didn't really know what my status would be over here in the Netherlands, but after finding out that I would stay, I started looking around that time. Okay, so it took about 2 months to find a place, but really it can take much longer for the people, depending on what you're looking for.
Indeed, I agree. So how would you describe your current living situation right now?
Can you elaborate more?
Yeah, like where do you live now? What is your living situation like?
Like right now, where I live is a private, like a room within a house shared with 3 other roommates, and we share the kitchen, the toilet, and the shower together. And yeah, that's the situation.
Yeah. And so both from the videos, but also from both of your descriptions so far, we heard several times about SSHN. Mihaela, would you be able to tell us a little more about this?
SSHN is a non-profit housing company that we are partnered with to be able to offer housing for our international students. So yeah, it's a collaboration that we have for housing.
Yeah. And then, so one would be indeed like looking for housing through SSHN, or as we were just talking about, also looking for housing on your own. So you have already mentioned, for example, Facebook groups, you have already mentioned Marketplace. Are there any other types of advice that you would give in terms of ways of looking for a room? I don't know, like how was that for you, Diego?
Yeah, you can always like ask your friends, ask people, like get in touch with landlords, like directly with the landlords, because there's quite a few over here in Arnhem. And also getting in touch with real estate agencies. Actually, the place I am living in now, it was through a real estate agency. I paid a yearly fee, and then I had access to apply to rooms, apply to viewings, and go see the houses, and then hear back from them.
Indeed, I think that's a very, very good option. And also the first thing that you mentioned, like ask your network, that's super important. Of course, that's something that you can only do once you have already lived here for a while. So of course, it's perfect if, for example, you're set already for the first year at a room provided by SSHN, and then you can, in the meantime, like start already asking your friends and people around you. But of course, in case you are applying to the Han already from a different country and you don't really have the means to get to the Netherlands and you have to do everything online, then of course you can consider other options like indeed Facebook groups or also contacting those rental agencies. That's definitely like something that is sometimes overlooked, I feel like, but they can, like you said, in your experience, provide you with a great overall solution.
It can be very, very helpful. Really.
Indeed. And Mihaela, would you say that there are there any specific things to be aware of or to be critical of when it comes to applying for housing?
Well, I'll just start right away with the negative one. They're scamming, so please be very conscious of that. Our housing office can help you if you're unsure whether somebody you're in contact with is legit or not, then our housing office can help you out with that because they have the knowledge of the market and they know what's on offer. So make use of the university resources, even though you're starting your studies here, right? So it doesn't matter. We are there for the students. But also the positive things. Don't forget to look on Google Maps, right? Sometimes distances look very big, but in the Netherlands has a really good infrastructure. We have these little satellite small cities around the campus cities. Maybe that is a good place for you, right? It's usually within maybe 20 minutes of biking. So don't overlook those places. Do your research of the areas where you want to be and go for it. And also, I think the deposit is something quite typically Dutch, where you have to pay in advance 1 or 2 months of rent. So please keep that in mind, that you do have to have some money available for that. And I think something really typically Dutch is viewing, but I think you, Diogo, can talk a little bit more about what is a viewing and what do you have to do for it?
Yeah, I mean, usually when you're applying to a room or a house, and like the landlord or the real estate agency or anybody involved with the house will ask you to come for a viewing. They will schedule it for you, and then you'll go to the room and you get to see the room, see the house, talk with the landlord, and just see if it really is the right thing for you.
Do you also get to meet your potential roommates?
Yeah, definitely, that too. You get to meet like who you're gonna be sharing accommodation with. So I think it's something that's very nice, because you get like at least an impression by yourself of what you're getting into.
Indeed, indeed. So Mihaela, what is your advice as representative from the Han if a student cannot find a room in time before the beginning of classes?
we do have housing shortage in the Netherlands, so it's becoming increasingly difficult to find student housing. So be aware of this. This is the case in almost the entire country, but also in our campus cities. For this reason, we advise students that have not found accommodation at the end of June, beginning of July, to switch to their plan B, which means do not come. Postpone your studies or your start maybe with half a year or with a year. That gives you a little bit more time to find housing. But for us, the goal is for the students to be able to be successful here, to learn, to participate to classes, and for that we have to have a good foundation, and housing is one of the most important things. To have your own room, to feel good about it, to be able to relax, to be able to study. So that is a prerequisite that we cannot do without. So yeah, that does come with a consequence due to the shortage of housing.
Yes, and thank you for elaborating on this because that's definitely a really important point. And at the same time, that also explains why we stressed several times during the session that it's quite important to apply as soon as you know that you're coming here. Apply for housing, start looking what's out there. That's quite important for sure. How long did it take you, Diego, before you started feeling at home within your new city?
Within the new city? Personally, my experience is quite different from others because I know people are like really about their culture and their country. But for me, it was like right away, just right away I felt comfortable within Arnhem, within the Netherlands, within my room and the place where I was living in.
That's fantastic to hear. Do you have any guesses on why for you that happened like
I don't know,
so quickly?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with me. I consider myself a bit Dutch in some regards.
That's a good fit then.
Like everything just matches. Arnhem, like a lot of nature, very cozy place. Small, like very relaxed, and it's very nice to live in. So I guess that has to do with it in some regard.
And I'm really curious, what makes you describe yourself as a little Dutch?
Yeah, I don't know. Like
coffee. Because the Dutch drink a lot of coffee, right?
I do, no, but also like in the sense, like sometimes I can be quite direct.
Okay.
And do you like that or you hate that?
I do like that.
Good.
Yeah. Good. There you go. I think that's a beautiful note to close the session on housing. And we have a few questions being asked from you at home, so we will be addressing those right now. But yeah, in the meantime, I also wanted to thank you so much for your contributions. I feel like you've been doing an outstanding job describing to us what the application procedure looks like, but also what the housing process looks like, sharing your own personal experiences in the case of you, Diego, and for you, like elaborating on why the HAN, for example, is looking for specific aspects or specific matters by the part of the students when it comes to applying for a specific studies, or also when it comes to having a room figured out already upon arrival to the new city. But let's address some of these questions, shall we? So the first one concerns health insurance. So what about health insurance? Does the university help you get one? And this is being asked from a European student.
Okay, well, that's a very good distinction because students from the European Union can take their own insurance from their own country. They can take it to the Netherlands, and they can benefit of the healthcare system based on their home medical insurance. The only difference is that if they want to work here as a part-time job, it doesn't matter, it's an hour or it's 10, then the Dutch law says that everybody that works in the Netherlands has to have a Dutch basic health insurance. So then you have to switch. For students out of the European Union, I think that's also in your case, the insurance is included in the financial guarantee for the first year. So then the HAN does help you get a medical insurance, because everybody has to have medical insurance that is residing in the Netherlands.
Indeed. Thank you. The second question is about the tuition fees. So is the tuition fee still halved in the first year for European students?
Yes, that is correct. For students that have not had previous higher education in the Netherlands. That is correct.
There we go. And we have a third question as well coming in. Can someone apply for 2 programs simultaneously? What is the answer to that? Do you know, Mihaela?
That is also correct. So lots of correct, lots of good answers. Very good, very good. Yes, so in the Netherlands, it's allowed to apply to maximum 4 programs at the same time. So it doesn't matter if it's programs from different universities or within the same university, that's a maximum. Obviously, if by the time you apply, you're still looking to 4 programs, I think that's a little bit much. You should have a bit of a better short list or shorter short list, to put it like that. So yes, you can apply to 2 at the same time. I don't know if that was the case for you, Diego. Do you apply for more programs or?
Yeah, I remember when I was when I applied for Han, I was applying for mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, and then I got accepted into electrical engineering. So
And then you chose?
I chose electrical engineering.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that can also help, especially like as we were mentioning at the beginning, like towards the end of high school, like students may be really like questioning, okay, what should I do? And then it's good to know that at least like there is the option of applying for a multiplicity of programs, and then to figure that out later. At least give yourself a couple more months to really understand what suits you best. We have one more question, which concerns side jobs. So how many hours can I work part-time as an international student? And I think here, again, it's quite important to make a distinction, European, non-European students for this question, right?
That is correct. So European Union students, they can work as many hours as they want. I will circle back to this one after I answer. And non-European students can work, I think, about max 16 hours per week. Yeah, but now I'm coming back, right? We never advise students to work in their first year, and hopefully Diego is going to talk a little bit about it, but first year is a tough year. You're in a new country, you're in a new education system, your family is not here, you have to make new friends, you have to, figure out how this is all going, and you also have to study and pass your exams. So the first year is never a good idea to start working. I think from the second year, when you're a bit more familiar with the Netherlands and with the university and studying, then that might be fine. But I don't know if you're working or you have any plans to.
Yeah, I do have a part-time job at the Han, and as you mentioned, it's a max of 16 hours a week. But as she mentioned, it's very important to focus on your studies before work. Yeah, because at least the first year is a lot of workload, a lot of adapting, not only to the school, but also to the environment you're in. So it's most important to have that in control before you start doing extracurricular activities. So
yeah, and not to mention that in the Netherlands, the system for first-year students is quite strict. Let's say not strict with a negative connotation, but more so the system really wants to ensure that you're studying something that you like and something that you want to pursue as well. So you have to fulfill a certain amount of credits within the first year, which is not necessarily the case for the remaining years. So it's quite important that you're able to pass most of your exams, at least a good 45 out of 60 credits, just to be able to move on with the same study. Otherwise, you might have to apply to a different university or to a completely different study program. So that's also, I guess, another reason why we really advise students not to be having too much on the plate during the very first year and maybe wait it out a little longer. But you, Diego, you mentioned that you have been working at the Han as a part-time job.
Yes, I do work.
Do you want to elaborate a little on that?
Of course, yeah. As I mentioned earlier about the matching interviews, I do that for my course of work. I do the matching interviews for electrical and electronics engineering. Whenever the students are applying, they select an interview date and they meet me, and I ask them I question them to see if it's really their course, if it's really meant for them.
Fantastic, and that's also why you were so prepared about letting us know how the matching is and how it was for you compared to how you're now carrying it out yourself. And do you, just going quickly back to that, do you notice a very strong difference in between how you are carrying out the matching yourself compared to the matching interview that you did for your own studies?
Yeah, I would say so, because of course, in both interviews, you're asking questions and everything. But Yeah, like in the previous one I did, it was more like, oh yeah, like to see your English and to see like how well you fit with the course if you're interested in the course, and that was it. But like now it's more like to see like, okay, where does this come from? Where does this interest for electrical engineering come from? How did you find out about Han? Those type of questions, yeah.
Excellent. Well, and I think that wraps up this session on admissions, visas, and housing. Thank you guys so much for being part of this and for sharing your experiences with us on this live show. And thank you as well, people from home watching, for being part of this and for asking your questions away. We have 2 more live show sessions coming up in the afternoon, as well as several Instagram lives. So make sure that you look up the program for the open day and you do not miss out on anything that we have to offer on this special day, because there is a lot to learn from about how we do things here at the Han. Thanks again for watching. We wish you the best of luck, and I will see you in the next session. Goodbye.